Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. Today we're going deep on something you sent over, an academic paper.
Okay.
It's called Re-examining the Mahabharata in Present Indian Context, a critical study of Gurcharan Das's The Difficulty of Being Good.
Interesting title.
Yeah, so, some of you out there might be thinking an academic paper about an ancient Indian epic. What's that got to do with me?
Right.
But stick with us on this one because it is a fascinating journey.
Yeah,
in
you
the
see this paper, basically, it uses the Mahabharata, which is this huge epic tale about two families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, who are battling for a kingdom,
Right.
to kind of analyze ethical dilemmas in modern India.
Okay, so to set the stage a little bit, the Mahabharata, it's not just your average family feud, right?
Right,
It's really symbolic.
Yeah.
It's a battle between good and evil, duty and desire, all represented by these two families.
Exactly. The Pandavas, they represent Dharma, and the Kauravas, Adharma. You can almost think of it like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other,
Oh, I love that.
but way more epic. Yeah.
Way more epic. And this paper specifically, it focuses on Gurcharan Das's book, The Difficulty of Being Good, which connects the Mahabharata to present-day India. And Das makes this really interesting argument. He says that despite India's economic growth, there's this moral crisis brewing.
Right.
It's like the country's facing its own Mahabharata in a way.
That's it. That's the crux of it. And to really understand this crisis, we need to understand Dharma,
Okay.
which is this concept that's central to both the Mahabharata and Das's analysis.
So break this down for me. What exactly is Dharma? It feels like one of those words that doesn't have like a direct translation in English.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's this multifaceted concept. It kind of encompasses duty, goodness, justice, law, custom, and even cosmic balance.
Wow.
The Rig Veda,
Okay.
which is one of Hinduism's oldest texts,
Right.
describes Dharma as the sustainer or the supporter.
So it's like a guiding principle, a way to uphold what's right for yourself and the world.
Precisely. And there are actually two key aspects within Dharma.
Okay.
So you've got Sanathan Dharma, which refers to those universal eternal principles, like truth, compassion, nonviolence,
Right.
ideals that transcend culture and time.
Those make sense.
Okay.
Okay, what about the other aspect?
So the other side of the coin is what's called Swadharma,
Swadharma.
and that is your unique individual duty.
Okay.
It's aligned with your true nature and your place in the world.
Got it.
Like, for example,
Okay.
imagine a soldier in a war.
Right.
Their duty, their swadharma, might require them to fight and even kill to protect their country,
Yeah.
but for an ordinary citizen,
Right.
taking a life would be a crime.
That's such a powerful example. So, like, the same action can have completely different meanings based on the individual's role and context.
Yeah.
So how does this concept of Swadharma play out in the Mahabharata?
Well, the Mahabharata is actually like a deep exploration of Dharma in all its complexities.
Okay.
And the characters grapple with understanding their swadharma,
Yeah.
their duty to the nation and their duty to the world as a whole.
Okay. I'm starting to see why this ancient epic still resonates today. There are so many layers to unpack.
Absolutely. And each character embodies a different aspect of this struggle.
Okay.
For example, there's Visma, who's like this respected elder who's bound by this powerful oath to the king. And even though he knows that the Pandavas are the embodiment of Dharma, he can't support them because of his oath.
So he's torn between his personal duty and what he believes is right for the kingdom.
Exactly. It's like this classic dilemma.
Right.
Do you stick to your word even if it means going against your values? His story is like this powerful reminder that staying true to your principles, it's rarely easy,
Yeah.
especially when loyalty comes into play.
It's true.
You could almost say we've all got a bit of Bisma in us,
I think so.
wrestling with similar conflicts in our own lives.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what choices you would make if you were thrust into the middle of the Mahabharata.
And that's just one character. The Mahabharata is filled with figures who face equally difficult choices.
Wow.
You've got Drona, Kripacharya, and Karna,
Oh, okay.
who get caught up in their own desires and end up supporting the wrong side,
Yeah.
even though they aren't necessarily bad people.
It's like they lose sight of the bigger picture, caught in the web of their own ambitions, right?
Exactly. And then, of course, you have the main antagonists like Duryodhana,
Right.
who completely disregard any sense of dharma,
Wow.
driven by their lust for power.
So it sounds like a cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any characters who actually manage to navigate this complexity of Dharma successfully?
That's a great question, and one we will explore further as we delve deeper into this paper.
This is already so thought-provoking. I can see why you said this would be a fascinating journey. I'm hooked.
Well, hold on tight because we are about to dive into how the Mahabharata connects to modern India.
Okay.
And you might be surprised to learn just how relevant these ancient dilemmas are to the challenges we face today.
Okay, so we've talked about this concept of Dharma and, and how the Mahabharata's characters grapple with it.
Yeah.
But how does all this relate to modern India? That's where Gurcharan Das's argument comes in, right?
Absolutely. Das paints this picture of contemporary India, where despite economic prosperity, there's this lack of ethical leadership,
Right.
which is causing a real crisis.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the country's missing its bisma.
Okay.
Those individuals who are willing to put the greater good above personal gain.
You're saying there's no one stepping up to be that moral compass, like a present-day Bisma, who would challenge the status quo, even if it meant going against powerful forces.
Exactly. And it's not just about the lack of, these Visma-like figures. Das also points to the absence of people like Vidura, who are brave enough to speak truth to power even when it's risky.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's not just about individual bad actors, right?
Mm.
But also a system that doesn't encourage or reward moral courage. It's like everyone's playing it safe, worried about the consequences of speaking out.
Yeah. That's a really insightful way to put it. And it's this lack of accountability that Das connects to the Mahabharata.
Okay.
He gives this example of Draupadi's humiliation,
Right.
where she's publicly disrobed in the royal court.
Yeah, it's a horrifying scene.
It is. And Das draws a parallel to how modern India's resources are being exploited and how corruption is running rampant.
So in a way, he's saying that society as a whole is complicit in these acts of dharma. Just like the characters who stood by and watched Draupadi suffer, no one wants to be the one to rock the boat, even if they know something is wrong.
That's a powerful interpretation, and it gets to the heart of what makes being good so difficult.
Yeah.
It's easy to judge others, but it's much harder to look inward and acknowledge our own role in upholding Dharma.
Oh, right.
Are we truly living by our principles, or are we letting things slide because it's easier or more convenient?
Just like we're all caught in this web of compromise.
Yeah.
Right? Where we justify our actions by saying, well, everyone else is doing it.
Right.
But when does that justification become a part of the problem?
That's the difficult question Das wants us to grapple with.
Yeah.
He argues that we're so quick to accuse others of violating Dharma, but we're often blind to our own transgressions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Duryodhana, the main villain, accusing Bhima of cheating in battle while conveniently forgetting all his own dirty tactics.
Oh, wow. I see the parallel. It's that classic hypocrisy we see all the time. It's easier to point fingers than to take responsibility for our own actions.
Precisely, and that's why Das's call to action is so crucial.
All right.
He's not just offering a critique of modern India.
Right.
He's challenging each of us to re-examine our own lives
Okay.
and find ways to uphold Dharma in everything we do.
Okay, I get that he's urging us to be better,
Hmm.
but does he offer any practical advice? What does a modern-day dharmic life actually look like?
Well, he doesn't give any specific instructions,
Okay.
but he leaves us with this very powerful statement.
Okay.
He says, an act of goodness is one of the only few things that we have.
It's a beautiful reminder that even in a world where dharma often seems to win, our choices still have meaning. We can choose to contribute to the problem, or we can choose to be that spark of goodness that Das is talking about.
And that choice is a constant one, a daily practice.
Right.
We're all going to make mistakes, but it's about continually striving to make decisions that align with our understanding of Dharma, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination.
I love that. It takes the pressure off needing to be perfect and reframes it as an ongoing process of trying to be better.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of the Mahabharata. It's not just an ancient story.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of our own internal battles, our own struggles to be good in a world that often feels like it's pushing us in the opposite direction.
You mentioned earlier that Das believes we're all characters in the Mahabharata in a way.
Yes.
What does that actually mean for us, the listeners of this deep dive? How can we apply these ancient lessons to our modern lives?
That's a really profound question. And I think it starts with understanding which character we identify with most.
Okay.
Who are we in this epic drama?
Right.
Are we the steadfast Arjuna, the conflicted Bhisma, the determined Draupadi?
Okay, so we're looking for those characters who embody the same values, the same dilemmas that we face. I can already see how this could lead to some serious self-reflection. It's making me think about my own choices, my own motivations, and whether I'm truly living a life that's aligned with my values.
That's exactly the point. This deep dive isn't just about understanding an ancient text or even modern India.
Right.
It's about holding up a mirror to ourselves and asking, who am I in this story? And what choices am I making?
This is getting really deep. I can see why you said this would be a journey.
Well, we're just getting started. Now that we've explored how the Mahabharata reflects the challenges of being good in modern India, let's shift gears and see how Das uses the epic to offer a path forward, a way to navigate these complexities and find a way to, as he puts it, be good.
As we've been talking about this, I keep thinking about how the Mahabharata isn't just this black and white story of good versus evil.
It's true. It's true. It's the gray areas that really draw you in. Here are
Yeah.
these characters who are heroic and flawed at the same time.
Yeah.
They're making choices that are both right and wrong.
Right.
It's like looking at a reflection of our own lives, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like it's rarely clear what the right thing to do is.
Yeah,
We're constantly making decisions, and we know there might be unintended consequences.
right.
It's like walking a tightrope,
Yeah.
trying to find that balance.
And this brings up a really fascinating question about the nature of dharma itself.
Okay.
Is it about blindly following rigid rules?
Okay.
Or is it about understanding the spirit of those rules and applying them with wisdom and compassion,
Right.
especially in a world that's constantly changing?
That's such a good point. It reminds me of those times when, you have to bend a rule to do the right thing, even if it technically goes against the book.
Yeah, yeah.
The Mahabharata doesn't give you easy answers, does it?
No, it really doesn't.
It's more about pushing you to develop your own moral compass
Yeah.
and think critically about these dilemmas.
I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways for anyone, reading this paper or even Das's book.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to embark on this lifelong journey of self-discovery and moral growth.
Right.
Recognizing that the battle between dharma and adharma, this isn't something that happened a long time ago.
Right.
It's happening right now within each of us
Hmm.
and in the world around us.
So it's not about reaching some perfect state of being good, but more about constantly trying to make choices that align with our understanding of Dharma
Exactly.
and accepting that we're going to mess up along the way.
Beautifully put. It's about learning from those mistakes, growing from them,
Yeah.
and refining our understanding of what it means to live a dharmic life.
This whole conversation has been such an eye-opener for me. I feel like I have a whole no perspective, not just on the Mahabharata, but on my own life and the choices I make every single day.
That's the power of these ancient stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
They transcend time and cultures, offering wisdom and insights that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
I'm so glad we had the chance to explore these ideas together. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning of a much longer exploration for me.
I think that's true for a lot of our listeners as well.
Yeah.
We've planted some seeds of thought.
Right.
It's going to be fascinating to see what grows from them.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with this thought. If you were to pick up the Mahabharata or Das's The Difficulty of Being Good, what would resonate most with you? What lessons would you take away and try to apply to your own life? We encourage you to keep exploring these themes, to engage with these timeless stories, and to discover the wisdom they hold for each of us.
And remember, the journey of Dharma, it isn't a solo mission. We're all in this together as individuals, as communities, and as a global society. So let's continue to learn from each other, support each other, and strive together towards a world where Dharma prevails.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time. In the meantime, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking the good in yourselves and the world around you.